What up, RevOps fam? I get asked all the time, how do I do RevOps? Here's 4 fundamental questions. It's based on this principle. RevOps is, very simply, the collection, the synthesization of, and the dissemination of data. Specifically of all those 3 things applied to your pipeline metrics, sales, to like our revenue model. So as we think about this, you have a revenue model and our ability to collect, disseminate, and then synthesize all this data. That's RevOps. And so I ask these 4 fundamental questions anytime I'm applying. And if you can execute these, then you're doing RevOps. So question number 1, end-to-end. Do you have a clear definition of the end-to-end revenue engine from customer journey all the way to retention? Yes or no? Number 2, by stage. Can you measure stage to stage within that model? What is the throughput and yield of the entire customer journey? Like, so through each conversion metric all the way through. Yes or no? Which goes to number 3 is, can you see or identify the drop-offs or the cliffs that are by stage, which then allow us to identify the opportunities for performing better or even performing at a lower cost through the entire customer journey. And number 4 is, can we track it? Like, can you initiate and then track a hypothesis about a revenue opportunity and where you're attempting to change one of those conversion metrics on whether it's working or not? And if you can do those 4 things, like, you're doing RevOps well, extremely well. Some common questions that I'm doing to answer, like, that likely lead to revenue opportunities, things like customer acquisition costs is by customer segment. Like, what is your customer acquisition, and how do you improve it? Customer, LTV, like, by customer segment, what is your customer lifetime value and how do I improve it? Net income, what go-to-market motions or what customer segment is the most profitable and why? Quota attainment, do you have some reps that are hitting 20% of quota and some that are hitting 120 consistently? And if so, why? And how can we apply the good things and get rid of the bad things? Even go-to-market motions themselves. Are there opportunities within our go-to-market motion that we can apply PLG self-service, that we can automate, that we don't need to have manual task? And from an ABM perspective, do we have a strong inbound campaign that we can apply outbound tactics for larger targeted accounts? And so as we think about this data model, like, that's what RevOps is, and the ability to pivot and make changes. And so here's my recommendations at the end. Number 1, identify your data model. I recommend using the bow tie. Winning by Design has a great, a lot of like theoretical, like how to put that together. Highly recommend looking into it. Start with the bow tie. Number 2 is RevOps is you identify your data model, but you then must get behavior changers to execute that. I recommend doing it in a CRM. By far, my recommendation is HubSpot, because you can do it all in one system instead of having this hub and spoke thing that Salesforce says, where you have a bunch of different data models on a bunch of places, which makes tracking conversion really darn hard, which is what RevOps is. Number 3, measure the model and whatever system you're using. And number 4, start pivoting based on those measurements that you see. That's RevOps. Well, hope you all enjoyed. You'll stay awesome and keep doing it big. Adios, Jen.